Dave. How are you going?
I'm going very well. And yourself?
Really good, thanks. I'm just trying to open a beer with one hand. I should have got this organised beforehand
Let me ask you this. Why are you only using one hand?
because I'm holding a microphone with my other hand.
Ah, right. Okay. You need to get yourself a mic stand.
Yeah, I just decided that I'm too DIY for any upgrades
Okay, fair
Or
enough.
a beer opener.
or a beer opener.
Yes,
Just hire a beer opener, Dunk, do you reckon?
exactly. Yeah, just get someone to open your beers for you.
Yeah, right. So Hop Nation's doing well then, Dunk.
Don't worry, I don't have a beer opener.
It's the new Filter Double Red that I'm opening. Filter sent me some of their beers, and it is delicious. I had a couple on the weekend. So if people are looking for a delicious red beer, get onto that one. It's really
Nice.
good.
What does it look like can-wise?
Like a filter beer.
Okay.
Bit
But
red.
like that's sort of what I mean. I feel like a red filter is like there's only one way to do it. But if they've got a red and a double red, what's the
So
difference?
it's the entire can's two different shades of red.
Gotcha.
So
All
that the
right.
stripes are lighter shade and it's written in
I
gold.
bet that looks striking.
Yeah, it is actually pretty good. Emma and I had a long chat about filters design the other week because I
Yeah.
think we both go back and forward on it, and I still don't know if I love it or I dislike it. But in this case, it looks really good.
Cool. All right.
You got a beer there, Dave?
I've actually got a hot cup of tea because I have not been
Wow.
feeling the best in the last couple of days.
Oh no.
Got my
COVID.
first COVID jab on Friday, and I told all my friends I was going to just champ the side effects and not feel anything, and that's not how it unfolded.
Why did you do that?
Tempting fate, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
I never like
Uh,
feel, and I never get the flu really, and I never feel the side effects of anything ever. So I was like pretty confident, but humbled by it.
yeah. Yeah. And we'll welcome our guests who you've already heard already, Duncan Gibson from Hop Nation. Dunk, how are you going?
Not too bad. Having a good day. I've just actually got a fresh pint of Rattenhund in my glass, which is
Oof.
quite delectable.
Excellent. I was going to open a Hop Nation beer, but the only one I had on hand was the 2021 Kalash,
Yeah,
which is in a big tin. I was like, ugh, 5 o'clock on a Monday is probably a bit early for that.
it's a good way to start the week, though.
Yeah, it sure is. What else are we doing, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Dunker, that beer's won a trophy for you and has been a bit of a hype beer. Can
Yeah.
you tell us about Rattenhund?
So, Rattenhund is a traditional German Pilsner, in case people haven't tried it. It was our sort of first go at making a really traditional old style lager, and we used Weiland floor malted Pilsner malt, so a really high quality, high spec German malt in it. We used Bluestone's Pilsen yeast. We also did decoction mashing on it, so a different way of stepping up the temperature in the mash and then cooking some of the mash to get sort of that yellowy caramelization of some of the sugars in it. And then to top it off, we do 8 weeks total time in tank, so like a very long extended lagering period with just hot side hops and their traditional hops as well. So there's I'm just looking on the can to remember the hops. Saz and Spelt Select hops in it. So super traditional, really like crisp, drinkable with a nice bitterness and like it's a beer that I'm really digging at the moment. All the guys in the brewery are really digging it. So it's it's a fun thing to go sort of against the grain and do something that's not super hoppy or hazy or adjuncty and go really traditional. So it's been fun.
Was it a particular motivation for that, or just something you were due to have a crack at?
So I've always been a style German Pilsner that I've really loved, and me and one of our brewers, Timmy, were really keen to like give it a crack. The sales guys and marketing guys are kind of like, I don't know if it's gonna really sell that well, but we'll let you guys do your own thing and have a little go at it. So we did a smaller tank of it. And that was the one that won the trophy at the ABES. And then Since then, we've kind of been refining it, and it pretty much sells out as it gets canned. So it's becoming a hype beer, which is kind of weird because it's not hypey at all.
Well, thinking about everything else you guys have been becoming known for, this is the opposite completely, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was more like a beer that I guess the brewers and wanted to brew and were really interested in doing, and like really looking at like really fine picking into the brewing techniques and making sure we did everything sort of exactly as like a really traditional German Pilsen would be made. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How many times have you made it now?
So there was the original one, and then we've done another release that sold out like in not even a day, which was it was a larger tank. And then we've got 2 of them in tank now, and we've just got the new cans printed for it. So instead of I just dropped my cans on the ground. So instead of having it with labelled, it's all printed can, and then we've changed some of the colours on it. So we've now got gold for the Rattenhund, trying to make it more that like traditional look. So yeah, it'll be looking smart in its own little package and being released like that soon.
It's so fascinating that this has happened. You know, just I mean, as we said, the hype, the interest in the market isn't these beers, or people don't think it's these beers, but you guys have proven that wrong by making a really good one.
Yeah. I think we were also, a lot of the brewers were like, a little frustrated with some of the Australian lagers and wanted to really hone in and do something that was really, really good.
What makes you frustrated about Australian lagers?
I think a lot of the times, for me anyway, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, but they're not lagered long enough, and you have slight faults or like quite raw tasting lager that like just to me isn't that appealing. And so since we've done the Rattenhund, we now have reworked our organic lager recipe, and we're lagering a lot longer and using decoction mash and that to try and get that, because that for me probably was in that realm of like Australian lagers that it wasn't super stoked on. It was a bit rough and needed to be refined. So we have used a lot of the the knowledge that we learned out of making Rattenhund in that organic lager now, and I think that's a much improved beer because of that.
If you were looking just at the organic lager, Doug, what do you like? How can you describe what the lagering time does to the flavor profile? Like, let's say you mashed it the same way as you normally would, but you had the extra lagering period. How would you describe what it does to the flavor profile?
So a lot of like, if there's any sulfur or like ethyl acetate and things like that, they diminish over that period of lagering time. But also you just get like a really like smooth crispness to the lager rather than it being sort of grainy and rough. That's how I best describe it. I don't know if that's a great description.
That's an interesting one, and it's such a good beer that it's so exciting to see those kind of things happen in the market. How did it feel winning a trophy for it?
I was pretty stoked. Yeah, it was we've never we haven't won any trophies before that, and we I've obviously been working on a beer quality, getting it better over the years, but won just a few medals and stuff like that. So it was the first time that we'd sort of been up there for something that prestigious, and we were like super stoked. We were just over the moon. Everyone had a great night. I think we finished partying about 6 a.m.
Yeah, nice. I think I left you at about 4 a.m. still in luck. So, did you win a trophy for the Buzz as well?
The Buzz got a trophy. Rattenhund got a trophy, and then we got Champion Medium Brewery and Champion Victorian Brewery. Yeah, so it was a big night. It was pretty cool. It was really cool.
Congrats on all that. That's really cool.
That's a huge night. What a result.
Yeah.
The Buzz as well was I think a favourite of the podcast, so it's cool to see that get some love, because I feel like that's not, I mean, yeah, overlooked. You know, it's not one that people probably associate with your brewery that much. But it's certainly, it's one that I'll always get if I'm at the tap room.
Yeah, it's funny. You're right. It does always sort of get overlooked, and but I think it was the second beer that we made at Hop Nation, and like it's always been a favorite. Like, and it always just has its like sort of little following of people that get it and really like it.
Out of those 4 trophies, Dunk, which one are you the most proud of?
That's difficult. I reckon,
Okay, which one are you the least proud of then?
that's difficult as well. I reckon like Champion Medium breweries like pretty awesome. There's a lot of amazing breweries in that category, and to be on top for that was like that was really really sick.
Nice.
You guys have been busy.
We have.
I feel like I didn't actually check when we last spoke on the podcast. It was a while ago though, and since then, I think site fermentation has grown into. I don't think you were making wine at all then. You're doing communitinis, blobfish, Zimiji. Does it feel like it's been a crazy few years for you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely been a crazy few years. Personally, I sort of get bored when there's nothing happening, so I always start new projects all the time. I think that's sort of part of it, but we kind of wanted to create a business that wasn't so reliant on just beer or just craft beer. That we had sort of different ways to create revenue and keep our business like as a stable business. So we have site fermentation, which is or site wine, sorry, which are our wine label, which we lease a little winery down on the Mornington Peninsula with some friends and make our wines down there, which that over the last few years has grown quite a lot as well. And obviously everyone probably knows the background. Me and Sam, as we used to be winemakers, so it's a very easy thing for us to sort of go back and do. And also, like, it's a really nice thing to be able to still keep our hand in doing wines as well. And then the beer side of things has been, growing and ticking away, and we managed to buy the old Mornington Peninsula production facility about a year ago, which gave us really good equipment to brew on, and also meant that we could bring all of our beers back in house, as we were brewing some of the core range out of Brick Lane. So it meant we could, be hands on brewing everything ourselves and doing it all ourselves again, which was really cool. And then we started a seltzer brand as well, called Ray, and that's going well. And then Zimiji is our restaurant in West Footscray, which we partnered up with Julian Hill from Navi. So he kind of looks after the food side of it, and we look after the beverage side of it. And if it wasn't for COVID, that would be going really well right now. But fuck that up.
I actually went and got one of the takeaway dinners there the other weekend.
Yeah,
with a bottle of the site Pinot that I picked up as well, and it was really good. If anyone is in lockdown in this part of Melbourne, I can recommend doing that because it was a real bloody treat. I also want to mention the site wine labels. They're really cool.
Yeah.
With the who's the artist that does those?
Is Henrietta Harris. She's a New Zealand artist. I think she's based in Wellington. We saw her stuff on Instagram and really liked it, and sort of pitched the idea of buying some of her art to be able to use it for our wine series. And she was open to it, and we got it off the ground. It's, I guess, the art and the style of her art is kind of the brand with that wine.
Had she ever done anything like this before, in the sense of label art?
No. She's like in New Zealand, she's a pretty well-known, artist, but not with labels or alcohol brands.
It's really cool. Like, you've just not taken, but used the painting and just put that on the front, and that's the label.
Yeah.
There's a confidence, and you guys must have really liked the art and hoped everyone else must like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely loved it, and we just like decided to dive in and give it a shot like that. Also, like our wine brand's probably never going to be a massive, big commercial thing. It's something that people will hopefully be a bit more nichey. People seek out, and can hopefully associate their art with the brand.
The Hop Nation as a brand, the overall brand look seems to be evolving a little bit with some of the releases. Secretly Swedish or on Instagram, I can't remember his name, but I've seen he's been doing some design with you guys.
Yeah.
Are you kind of organically evolving the brand, or is there sort of wholesale change in the works, or how does that look in now?
So with like all of our sort of core products are still with that Hop Nation like green, black and white can, and 375 ml, and we'll probably always stay like that. I say probably, but we always change our minds, so it's hard to say. But at this stage, we'll stay like that. And then all of our specialty stuff, we want to be in that like 440 ml, colourful labels, like sort of trying to push the boundaries a little bit or show that we're pushing the boundaries. So we started like not too long after Mornington doing that. And now we're sort of starting to refine it, and it's working really well for us. And we just do one batch of it, sell it out, and then don't rebrew it. It's just a constant evolving thing. And I think that sort of having the different can size and the different labels sort of just associates it with the main brand, which is like always quality, less experimental, I guess, just more like quality good beers that you can drink every night. Where the 440 mils are more, I want something that's super hoppy or punchy or, just a bit more out there. Yeah.
I really liked the stuff. Mark Gamble's the designer that you guys worked with for Gabs, your Gab stand.
Yeah.
And I think he's done the most recent labels, hasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophie's nodding, so it's yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Sophie. He gave me a little badge at Gabs.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's a really cool little design. It wasn't one of yours. It was just a fun little badge you'd made.
Yeah, those Gabs posters were awesome. They all sort of retro band posters of all of our old labels. I think it looked really cool.
Can we buy them anywhere? Is that a?
We don't have. Sophie said there's a few JJ's ones under a desk, so we can get you one, but we don't have them for sale. We might do. Like I think.
Were you selling the hoodies?
We did long sleeve.
That's right.
Like t-shirts, I guess they're called long sleeve t-shirts. We'll still got some down the brewery, I think.
Yeah, right. So I remember seeing them around Gabs and being like, "What are those?" Not realizing they were yours.
Yeah.
And then kind of later, I'm like, "Oh, right. That's why there's a lot of people wearing them, because they're working for Hop Nation."
Yeah.
They were cool. I really liked them.
Yeah.
I want to talk about communities.
Yeah.
Because that's been a really fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
What is communities for people that don't know?
So communities, when we went into, I think one of the first lockdowns, we were like, thought to ourselves, how can we sort of be part of the beer community and help, our friends sell beer, us sell beer, and get a good buzz around, craft beer when people were sad and might need a little pick me up during their COVID lockdown. So we contacted lots of different brewers that are obviously friendly with, and started making mix packs. And we thought, we'll just do this as a once off, like at the start of the first lockdown, and that'll be it. But the reception for them was amazing. They sell out so quickly every time we release them. So we just kept doing it. And we changed up the brewers so that everyone gets a fair shot in there, and try to put something together that's interesting, has some good just solid normal beers, has something that's a bit more out there, and try and curate these packs that sort of beat the old lockdown blues, I guess.
It's a lot of work to
Yes.
unpack everyone's beers and repack them.
Yeah. Well, the biggest one, Coles, like halfway through the first, I can't even remember all the lockdowns we've had now, through one of them, whatever, Coles saw the idea, realised it was something cool and wanted to get behind it, and they ordered, it was like 4,500 cases once packed of them. So we had, it was like 17 people, all socially distanced, obviously, with masks on, and packed 24 different breweries beers into a 24 pack, 4,000 of them over like 3 days. It was actually a terrible 3 days. I had to be there the whole time, like orchestrating the madness. It wasn't any fun at all, I can tell you that. But it was cool, and it gave lots of people like an outlet to sell beer and something cool to be part of, and so now we're still doing them, but just on the smaller scale. We just get everyone's beers to Hop Nation and Footscray, and then we repack them up and send them out as little 12 packs.
The thing I really like about that is seeing the breweries that you've you've teamed up with to do it, and it's always changing, and seeing friends of ours breweries pop up, or small breweries that might not get the love, or you kind of I'm kind of worried about so many breweries at the moment. So seeing them kind of pop up in those packs is like, oh, awesome. There's a little bit of a friendship there. There's a community going on there.
There's a definite community going on there. Yeah, it's super fun, and people are always really stoked, and like often when they come and drop their beers off, they give us like a little mixed pack of their beers, and we give them a little mixed pack of ours, and have a chat, and I don't know, it's just a nice way to be involved with people when it's really hard to be.
Let's talk seltzer. I'd forgotten about the seltzer. Yeah. I didn't have that in my notes, and you mentioned it before. I'm like, oh right, they've got Ray, which is how's it going?
It's going really well. Yeah, it's growing really quickly, which is good, and getting back into the warm weather. Obviously, during winter, there's a bit of a lull because it's not really a winter drink. But coming back into summer, it's already really picked up. And yeah, it's going well. I guess it's like different demographic of people we're targeting, and it's actually quite fun to make.
23rd of August, and we're saying coming back into summer. That's preposterous.
I'm from New Zealand. I wear shorts all year round, so it's endless summer in Melbourne, really.
Yeah, Duncan, I broke out the shorts last week, so I'm right there with you. Have you changed or evolved how you're making the seltzer now?
Yeah, we've worked a lot on our flavorings and things we're using in it. Also, because we ferment ours and how we do that. So we use a wine yeast, and then the thing about fermenting sugar and water is it's actually pretty hard because there's no nutrient in there. So I actually go back to my sort of winemaking background, and a lot of the nutrients and stuff that we're using for winemaking, I use them in our seltzer so that we can ferment it pretty quick, so I can get it down to like a 5-day ferment. And at the start, we were 30-day ferment. So we've really worked on nutrient and all the rest of it to get it quicker. And that kind of scientific side of making seltzer, that's what I really enjoy about making beer, wine, anything. So I've actually enjoyed making it. It's been quite fun. And then lots of our flavorings are we get a whole bunch of samples in and do different bench trials and taste and think about what the market wants. And quite often a brewer's palate is maybe not actually the best palate to judge what the market wants, because brewers are looking for like bitterness or different things that aren't really associated with seltzer. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
What do you think the market is for it? Who's buying it?
Sophie, what's the demographic?
Sorry, what? Ray.
Who's buying Ray?
Everyone.
Everyone.
But it's definitely skewed towards females for sure. But I think you'd be surprised. There's lots of people who drink it.
Yeah. What about age group?
Millennials?
Millennials, yeah.
Millennial kids. What do you expect?
Millennials, yeah.
Is it too early to sort of gauge what the full demographic and market looks like? Because it sort of went from like a boom product into like lockdown into winter. And I imagine buying patterns are a bit all over the place. Do you have an idea about what it's going to look like going forward, like regularly?
Yeah, it's hard to say, like, because we had that first summer last summer and everything like really took off, and like you say, then we had lockdowns and winter and things slowed. But you can already see now things are taking off again. But I think if you look at America and like White Claw, all the brands that are over there, you can get a pretty good idea of what is to come in Australia. But I think like the answer, like Sophie said before, is everyone. Like, I think a lot of people are going to drink it, and it's going to be a big thing, hopefully, because we started this whole brand.
Look, you were pretty early on in the seltzer world, weren't you? In the Australian seltzer world, at least.
Yeah, we would have been one of the first, I don't know, in the first like 5, 10, something like that came out, maybe even a bit less than that. But we trialed it. I fucked up a few batches and we put them down the drain, and then we kind of figured it out. And we got one of my friends is a winemaker and has a crossflow filter, so we got the crossflow into Footscray, did like little trial batches, and kind of nailed it. And we we started releasing them just in the normal can with the label on, which is more just like a way to test it out and figure out if it's actually going to work. Before getting massive can runs printed and investing in our own filter and all that sort of thing. So now we've got our own filter and stuff down in Mornington that we use for it, and we've put some extra tanks in there to do the seltzer fermentation. So we're invested in it now, so hopefully it goes the right way.
It was interesting. I think it must have been in between lockdowns over summertime, and we had a Trugo day.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Hop Nation Trugo Day, which you guys have been big supporters of the club. Thank you.
That was it was quite an eventful day, that one.
I don't think I was at the second one, but I certainly heard about. But the day that I'm referring to was it must have been a lady she was a chef, and she had there's a lot of hospo people there, and they were super millennial audience or crew, and there was a lot of seltzer going down.
Yeah.
And there was no brand loyalty. Like, someone didn't turn up with 6 of one; they had 3 or 4 different ones. Yeah. And I think you do one with Black Hearts.
Yeah, we did a grapefruit one with Black Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah, that one popped up. And yeah, it was really interesting to see just the if it was kind of our era of hospo, what people would have been turning up with would be Melbourne Bitter or something, and now it's seltzer.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting thing to witness, I guess.
Yeah, I think that, like you mentioned, that brand loyalty thing, there probably isn't much brand loyalty at the moment because it's such a young market and people kind of trying all the different brands, seeing what they like. But hopefully, as it matures in the next 3 to 5 years, people will have their brands that they like and support. And we're hoping, because we were pretty close to first to market, that there's a few loyal people out there.
I have seen bus stop billboards around Footscray for Ray, which they look great. So it's kind of a moment of like, oh, right, there's Hop Nation seltzer billboards or bus stop ads around.
Wow.
It's fun to see.
Yeah, that's cool.
The other thing I want to talk about was Blobfish.
Yeah,
Today announced as we record this that it was cancelled,
yeah,
which sucks.
it does really suck. So um, we obviously had the inaugural Blobfish, which we loved. It was such an amazing event. Also got heaps of love from different breweries, and it was like a really nice community event. And then last year, COVID, so we just cancelled it completely. This year, and the format was we were at the meat market, which is an old butchery building or whatever, and in Melbourne, which has a capacity of around 800 people, something like that. And so we knew that was never going to be on the table this year, but we decided we could just do a mini version of it at Zymergy because we have like a big beer garden out the back of Zymergy. And we scale it back, have it just sort of a couple of each brewer has a tap or two taps, and you can talk to the brewer, be outside where it's kind of socially distanced, and at least let it sort of live on through these weird COVID times. But that's been cancelled, so we're a bit gutted about that. It's definitely not super stoked, but yeah, the plan is we don't want to let it go either. At some stage when the world returns to normal, we want to be back at the meat market and have a whole bunch of brewers there, and have awesome people tasting and celebrating barrel aged sour beers.
It was we've talked about the first one a lot on the podcast, but it was certainly like I almost want to say a surprise when seeing that kind of niche festival for a pretty niche product, do really well and be really well attended, and then the overall quality of beer was so high. I guess, were you surprised by either of those things?
Yeah, we were surprised by the support. We obviously, we wanted to put it together and do it, so we knew we thought we knew that there would be the interest in it. And yeah, I was like, with the overall quality of beer, I was like, surprised and stoked with it. It was really, really good. Yeah, so our premise was that the someone that was either the brewer, or the owner had to be there. It wasn't so if you try to send a sales rep, not the sales reps are bad, they're great. There's one just sitting over there staring at me now. But we wanted that real closeness to the beer so that people could ask technical questions, or really feel a connection to the beer they were getting poured, rather than a sales rep sort of going through the motions with them.
It's a great condition, I reckon.
Yeah, and I guess I'm assuming people were open to that.
Yeah, they had to be, or they weren't invited. That was the rules. So that was how it was.
I feel like anyone playing in that space or doing those kinds of beers is like, wants to talk about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're passionate. I want to be there and do it. Yeah.
And
the other thing I had noted down was Zymergy. Have you been to Zymergy, Dave?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'm so excited to come and. We'll see when that happens, but real keen to get it
one day.
Yeah.
You got to order the pretzel when you go. I feel like that's the kind of thing Dave would order anyway, right?
Yeah, Dave? You're not going to twist my arm too hard to get me to buy a pretzel. Yeah.
I guess pre-COVID, how was that all going? Or I guess in between COVID.
Yeah, it had been going really well. Like last summer, because we got it open, just as sort of everything opened back up, and we've obviously it's a big beer garden out the back of it. So that worked really well because people felt, I guess, safe being somewhere that they were outside, could distance from people, have good beer food and good beers and drinks as well. So yeah, it had been going really well, but lockdowns obviously definitely put a damper on things in that sense. But we've managed to do lots of takeaway packs and different bits and pieces that have you don't make money out of it, but you at least everyone stays employed and everyone has something to do. So I think it's good.
For people that might not be familiar with it, what's the approach and what's the ethos for it?
So Zymurgy means the art of fermentation, or the science art, something like that. And a lot of what we're doing contains some degree of fermentation, whether it's like the chefs are getting into lots of koji or different vinegars or pickling and all those sort of fermentations. And then there's about 12 taps of Hop Nation beer, all our wines, sour beers, also our friends' wines and other people's spirits. And then we have like a big charcoal, you call it like a rotisserie, I guess. And we do, meats on that, veggies on that.
Just looking up because it was a Brazilian barbecue,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
It's a Brazilian barbecue. I guess the style of food that we're doing is like, I don't know what you call it, modern Australian or something like that. With like a lot of fermentation involved. Fancy barbecue, mate.
Fancy barbecue. That's what I liked about it. I remember going there just kind of as you launched for an article, and a lot of the stuff I write for Broadsheet is I'm going to super, like architects designed a big concept place, and there's all sorts of whatever. And then walking to Zymurgy, it was like, oh, this is great. It's a backyard, and there's beer, and there's barbecue, and everything's delicious, and that's nice.
We're really trying to sort of get it into the realm of come in, have snacks, drink, and it not be pretentious. That's sort of where we want it to sit, but still have really nice food. Which I think it's definitely getting there. But
and before we started, you said you've got some things in the cooker. What's on the go now that you've got all these other projects happening? What else you got going on?
So at the moment, I'm sort of in the middle of a pretty big reshuffle of Hop Nation Footscray. So we've taken our old brew house out of the building, which some people might be a little bit sad about, but we've replaced that with all of our site sour beers. So probably for the last year at least, I just haven't had any time to really focus on the sour beer project. Like I've done a little bit here and there, but not really where I want it to get. So we've put stillage down. I've racked out all of our old barrels, put them back to barrel, taken the top off off one of our foeders and made it into an open top fermenter. We've just put our first beer through that, so it fermented in the open top, and then now it's gone to barrel. So the space is now going to have a big focus on our sour beer and what we're doing with that. So the wort we make down in Mornington, and then we truck the wort up and then do all the fermentation, blending and fruiting, whatever we want to do up here, which is going to give us the ability to really, really focus on sour beer and do some really good stuff, which I'm stoked about. And also, we're going to put a still in the brewery as well. We're at Footscray, which is coming this week, hopefully. Actually, I need to ring those people and see if it still is coming this week. And we are going to start making gin on site here, and also start aging different whiskies. Also, I'm really like Calvados is one of my favorite spirits, so I'm going to try make a little bit of Calvados and things like that. So yeah, lots of like fun stuff to play with as well, and it's going to transform this building back into a production space. There'll be lots of things happening, ferments going, and stills doing their thing, and also look really cool because barrels look amazing. So it'll be chock-a-block full of barrels. Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's being, a 15-minute walk from you. That's really exciting.
No, we haven't really told anyone about that. So, but when everyone comes back into the building, they'll see. I've kind of done it during this lockdown. So,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
What is Calvados for people that might not know?
Calvados is apple brandy, but apple brandy sounds pretty unsexy. But Calvados is from Normandy in France, so they obviously produce lots of apples and make really good ciders, and they also distill those apples and then age them. And it's really, it's one of my favourite spirits to drink. So we're going to do a little bit of that, play around, and then I've obviously got a lot of friends that are winemakers, and they all have different wines or ideas that they want to distill. So, we'll collaborate on different things as well and try a hand at a few things.
Is anyone else doing Calvados at Australia?
I know Willie Smiths do.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a still, and I've tasted some of their stuff, and it's really, really good. But you can't call it Calvados because Calvados can only be from Normandy, so you have to call it apple brandy, which just doesn't sound cool. So we need to figure out another name for it that sounds cool.
I feel like we spoke to someone else that was looking at doing it, either currently or in the future. But not sure.
Was it Dollar Bill?
Possibly. I can't remember.
Maybe they're doing some aging in Calvados barrels. Is where I.
No, I thought we spoke to someone who was going to be trying their hand at it, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever tried it. What does it taste like, Dunk?
Just like apples. Like you get like a really good apple-y character to it, but it's obviously aged in barrel, so you get that color out of the barrel, that like spiciness. I'll get a bottle of Calvados. One of my really good friends in France, Guillaume, he makes Calvados for Le Pierre Jules, or that's his family, and that's how I got into it. So he would always take bottles of Calvados to the harvest that I did in Burgundy. I got into it there. But they have like old stuff, like he'd take magnums of 20-year-old Calvados for us to drink. It's like,
holy moly,
it's so fucking good.
What's the aging process on it in the barrel?
In terms of like
how long? Like what's the like thinking of like gin is obviously quick, then whiskey's long. Where does Calvados sit?
So it depends. Like you can get like most of your like drinking Calvados would be like 3 years old, but then like Le Pierre Jules has like they're 20-year-old, but you can also get, they do like single releases of 50-year-olds and stuff like that. But it just gets like more complex. So that as it gets older and you get less of that like apple-y characters, kind of fades over time. But when you're drinking like a 3-year, you get that really apple-y character to it. And less complexity. But
are you planning on experimenting with the aging of that of your try of the apple brandy?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
We'll get a bunch of different barrels, and I don't want to really release anything that's under 3 years. So we'll probably look at once it's 3 years old, starting to release some, and then keeping some for blending and keeping some older.
You going to do a barrel aged seltzer?
Should. Makes sense. And then we really want to do whiskey as well. So whiskey will probably be after gin. Whiskey will probably be our main focus, and then I'll just play around with different other spirits that I like to drink, basically. But sort of no pressure on that side of the business. It's never going to be huge or whatever. It's just a fun thing to do and keep yourselves interested.
Is anybody else doing beer, wine, and whiskey, or beer, wine, and spirits?
I'm not sure. Someone probably is for sure, but I don't know.
I feel like one of the like South Australia and Pikes maybe, are they doing spirits? Because they do wine as well, don't they?
Pikes do wine, beer, but I don't know if they do spirits or not.
Good question, Dave. And seltzer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think if you add seltzer into the equation, we'd be the only ones.
Bloody exciting, yeah. What a time.
Are you regretting that you called it Hop Nation at the start? That's a serious question, by the way. You can.
No, I like Hop Nation. It kind of like we were talking about this the other day. Like, obviously it's like a more basic name for sure, but like brands kind of become the brand becomes the name in a way, I guess. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And now it is what it is, and it's it's Hop Nation. It couldn't be anything else. It's like when you have a child and you name it whatever. Fish and chips, and then it just becomes fish and chips.
It's that kind of thing of like, is the Nike logo a great logo, or is it just a logo you recognize? Kind of, you
Exactly.
associate the name with, as you said, it's just become the name of what you
Yeah.
guys do, and it's disassociated from hops in that sense.
Yeah, but still with the Spirits brand, it'll be like we kind of like to keep them different, like we have with like our sour beer,
Yeah.
Ray being different, Hop Nation's different. So it'll be different, but it'll still fall under our umbrella or our way of doing things.
I guess we should probably talk about sort of hazies and how that's all going.
Yeah,
How's the world of hazies for Hop Nation?
it's still ticking along really well. Yeah, we did. I don't know. Have you tried Better Distractions yet?
No, Dave, did you have that one?
I didn't have that one. I had Synchronicity.
Yeah.
And
Synchronicity I really enjoyed as well. But
yeah, I said to Luke last week that beer sort of has put all hazy beer back on my radar in some regard, because I sort of like early on I found a few that I didn't really love and kind of like decided that it just wasn't really for me, and I wasn't really exploring it. But I had yours, and I was like, man, I think maybe I'm missing out on some good things here.
So I really enjoyed that beer, but I enjoyed Better Distractions better, which is our latest release. I'm not sure if there's any left. I think it might have sold out, but you probably get it at a bottle shop somewhere. But we're really sort of honing in, like with all the things that we're doing with Rattenhund, all the beers really honing in on the brewing process, really focusing a lot on quality and how we can make things better, and like always like innovating. In the pursuit of like getting better beer, and I think that really shows in Better Distractions. It's like a really enjoyable hazy beer.
I just brought it up on your website. It's sold out on the website. Gorgeous label though, really, really fun.
Yeah.
Same with the Jawbone Saltbush and Oyster Stout. Man, that's a lovely label.
Yeah, that's a really. Who did that, Soph?
Matt Hobson.
Matt Hobson, yeah.
Well,
So the Jawbone was pretty interesting. That's one of our former brewers, Eli. He went over to the mill, but he did a lot of our recipe development while he was here, and that was one that we released. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember when we released it. 2 years ago, yeah. And we decided we'd take it back. So our neighbours down at the brewery used to be Tim and Thierry's. They got the building got pulled down because of the Westgate Tunnel. But so we were like, obviously, we are next to an oyster shucker, we need to make an oyster stout. And then Eli came up with a really cool recipe, and we added some saltbush, and we also used some seawater in it as well. But this year, I went to the Tim and Thierry's new premise and got a bunch of oysters and oyster shells off them from there, and took them down to Mornington, and then got some seawater out of the ocean, and some native saltbush from around the area as well, and it makes it like a bitter chocolate salty kind of vibe, and it's really cool.
did you literally take a bucket down to the ocean?
I literally did that, yeah, and it was
Yes.
really fucking cold, and I was trying to get in to fill the bucket up. That was terrible, yeah.
How's the core range tracking in all this? The kind of the original lineup.
Really good. Like the pale ale is the heart pale ale is still about 60% of what we do.
Wow.
So that's where
Wow, yeah.
like our bread and butter is in our core range, which we like worked hard to make sure that's the case. Like obviously we love all these, and we not only love but learn a lot from the limited release stuff that we're doing and pushing the boundaries, and working with a bunch of different styles of beer. But honing in and making sure the quality of our core range is our like main focus, and that's where like our business lies really, is in that core range.
I did also see the billboard up in Footscray in the main intersection of Footscray. If you're going past Franco Cozzo, you would have seen it. And it was, what was the campaign? It was like take a photo in front of the billboard.
On the billboard, yeah. And I kind of like I was like super busy when all that was sort of going on. Like I kind of didn't listen too much of what was sort of happening in the marketing department, and then I was just driving down the street and I was like, fuck, that's our billboard. Like, that's then lost my shit. I was like, this is great. Like, it's come a long way from just me and Sam hustling to where it is now, which is, it's really cool.
Dave, do you have any other questions before we...
No more questions, but I'm very keen to see if Carwyn have got any of that newer IPA. I want some.
Better distractions.
Yeah.
I might head down to Mr. West this week and see if they've got some there. In the meantime, Dunk, what's the best place to find Hop Nation information on the internet?
Sophie, what's the best place to find it?
I thought about just asking that straight to Sophie.
On our website or on our socials?
Yeah, website, socials. It's probably the best spot to find out about what we're doing. Like, we post a lot on Instagram about new beer releases and events or things not events, because you can't fucking have events, but things that are happening. Definitely Instagram's a good spot.
Hop Nation Beer on Instagram. And Sophie is Sophie Bloomfield, the marketing and communications. Thank you for your input, Sophie. Appreciate it. Dunk, before we wrap up, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's all good. Just stay safe in lockdown.
Yeah.
And keep buying beer because it's wonderful.
Dave, where do people find you on the internet?
Send me an email, dave@aleofatime.com. Luke, how about you?
At aleofatime.com, aleofatime on Instagram and all the other socials, and Hypothetical Institute in your podcast apps for your conspiracy needs. We just released an episode about clowns and the history of clowns and all the seedy world that you might not know about them. So tune in for that. In the meantime, we'll chat to everyone soon. And Dunk, thanks so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.